Let's check this place too, once the Heartless here are out of our way. Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Kingdom Hearts Final Mix. In the last part we finished off some little side things before eventually making our way here to Halloween Town, where things are grim, creepy, and otherwise relatively endearing. So something I do find somewhat interesting about Halloween Town, especially compared to some of the game's other larger worlds, scale-wise at least, is that I think it might have the highest cutscene count out of any of the Disney worlds, but also perhaps some of the most back and forth this side of Deep Jungle. More on that in a few moments. We do have a new Heartless here, though. These are White Knights. Like most Heartless in Kingdom Hearts 1, admittedly, they are largely just physically based. But I'll talk more about their attacks in detail once I have a free moment, as there's so many cutscenes in this world, it's actively hard to find a moment to speak about things in depth, honestly.
Zero, have you seen Sally anywhere?
Is something wrong, Jack?
No, everything's going great. We're going to have the best Halloween ever. All we need now is your memory.
Memory? You mean this? Jack, I have a bad feeling about this. Why don't you try something else? There's still time.
Nothing could beat what I've got planned. Once we give the Heartless a heart, they'll dance just as I envision it. Trust me, you're going to love it.
And from here we need to once again head back into the main part of the town and give that to the doctor. I have a bad feeling about this. If only Jack would reconsider. I'm happy if he's happy, but I'm just so worried about him. I'm worried about him because I just am. This is where the back and forth nature for this world really comes into play. You're constantly going back to the main part of Halloween Town.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I sure did. A heart. What should we do?
Gosh, you really are stupid. Isn't it obvious? Tell Oogie Boogie.
Despite the structure of this world being a lot of back and forth, I will say I think Halloween Town's probably the easiest world post-Agrabah for this latter set of worlds. If only because even young me didn't really have many issues here, while I got walled in pretty much every other world at this point in the game in some form or fashion growing up. Let's go see the doc. Hello, Doctor. Yes, this is it. Now just one more ingredient. We need surprise to complete the heart. The mayor should know where it is. So now we need to go find him. Just great.
A that bonehead Jack is really making a heart. I'll be jiggered. That works for me. Ooh, when I get my hands on that... Well, I've got no hands, but I'm still gonna nab that heart and control the Heartless.
I love how no matter what, it sounds like Oogie Boogie's having a good time. So we now need to head back to the graveyard and find the mayor, which is where the other part of the back and forth nature of this keeps on going. We keep going back and forth along the same route back and forth, because Halloween Town structurally is effectively a giant hallway that I think is shaped like an L or U if you look at the actual shape of it all. While we're on the way to the graveyard, though, let's talk more about some VAs. Sally in this game is voiced in English by Kath Soucie, who also voiced Janine in The Real Ghostbusters, Phil and Lil in Rugrats, Sally Acorn and Nicole in Sonic Sadam, Kokiri and Kiki's Delivery Service, Cubert in Futurama, Maddie Fenton and Danny Phantom is the English voice for Shinosuke and Creon Shin-chan, as well as an on and off voice for Lola Bunny. She also played Vivi in Chocobo GP, as well as Shock in this very world. Before we get into her Japanese VA, though, let's talk about the White Knights. These Heartless are agile with their jumps and otherwise move fast and hit decently hard. They'll attack with their long, clawed arms, either doing a decently ranged spinning attack, as 85% of the Heartless in this game love to do for some reason, or a jumping combo where they swipe their hands up and down upon landing. Individually, they're not too bad, as is generally the trend in this game, but in large groups of Heartless, their range can really surprise you on top of just their damage, let alone their speed. The big thing in this room is that once you take care of all the Heartless, you can use the coffin here at the end to get to our next room. So Sally's Japanese VA is Yuko Doi, who also voiced her in Shock in the Japanese dub of the film. She's also the Japanese dub voice for Pocahontas in the Disney films, as well as Turk in the Disney Tarzan movies. How do you do, Mr. Mayor? Before talking to him, though, try to make your camera face away from him towards these gravestones. Ghosts rise up from those tombstones. Check the tombstones in the order the ghosts appear. If you get it wrong, you're in for a surprise. This is a pretty standard memory minigame. 3 of these 7 graves will send ghosts out of them, investigate those 3 in the right orders, and you're good to progress on in the world. Honestly, always kind of felt like this needed another round or 2 to make it feel like it was more of a set piece compared to the rest of the world. Oh, that was loud. Splendid! Now go look at the pumpkin. I don't know why that line's always been weirdly funny to me. Within the pumpkin now is our next goal item. This is the Jack-in-the-Box. So now we need to head back to the doctor once again. Though just for LP flow reasons, we are going to jump cut back to the doctor and save some time there. Here you go, Doc.
Yes, this is it.
There you go. This time it's sure to work. Whoa!
Well, we came back to the doctor, and now it's time for us to go forth once again and chase down those damn kids to get that heart back. I mean, come on, who steals a heart? Oh, right, like most of the enemies in this game. Huh. Well, at least it's Antone, I suppose.
Ah, we lost them.
Zero! After them, quick!
Our next goal is to head back to the room we just got the Jack-in-the-Box in and go another room beyond that, because, yeah, that's just this world's structure. Along the way, though, we might as well talk about our new Heartless here. These are gargoyles. This enemy type, as you can see, spends a lot of time flying about high above you, while also at times being in a bit of an orb form that keeps them invincible for a short period. Attack-wise, they'll either slap you with their wings, rush directly at you, then do an upwards kick, or they'll keep a distance and do a fire elemental shot that'll bounce around the screen several times. That's actively pretty easy to lose track of if there's a lot of other Heartless around you. They can surprise you with their damage output, so watch out for them. Next up in the voice cast along the way, though, is Dr. Finkelstein himself, who's voiced in English by Jess Harnell. He's also the voice of Wacko Warner in Animaniacs, Gary the Monster in Little Nicky, Spyro in A Hero's Tale, Jerry in the first 2 seasons of Totally Spies, Ironhide in the Bayverse Transformers films, as well as Locke in This Very World. He's also the America's Funniest Home Videos announcer, apparently, which, yeah, I guess that kind of tracks with Wacko, huh? With that said, let's get back to the graveyard so we can progress on in the world, why don't we? Time to follow those kids across the spiral hill. Along the way, though, let's go back to talking about VAs. The Good Doctor in Japanese is voiced by Yuji Mitsuya, who's also the Japanese dub actor for Jen and the Dark Crystal, number 5 in the original Short Circuit, Michelangelo in the original TMNT show, as well as the first live-action movie, Timon and a lot of the Lion King films, Petrie in The Land Before Time early films. I believe it's pronounced Pika in the Dressrosa arc of One Piece. I've actually never heard the character's name spoken, now that I think about it. Pleakley in the Lilo and Stitch films, The Supreme Kai in Dragon Ball Z, Kamoshida in Persona 5, Rex in the later Toy Story projects, and Virgo Shaka in a lot of the Saint Seiya projects. Welcome to Spiral Hill. This room is pretty small, but it's surprisingly dense with Heartless encounters, so if you're trying to do level grinding in this world, this is probably the best place to do it. With that said, if you just want to get a move on and actively keep getting involved in battles when you're trying to investigate a key item, well, you're not going to be able to do that. This one can be kind of annoying on that factor. Just to round out more of the voice cast here, Beryl is voiced in English by Jeff Bennett, who is also the voice of the mayor here in this world, so we've already talked about him. We've already talked about Shock's English and Japanese voice actors, so Locke's Japanese voice is Shintaro Sonoka, who also voiced the character in the original film, Li Shang in the Disney's Mulan movie series, as well as both him, the character, and Ace in Powerpuff Girls in the Japanese dub. Beryl, on the other hand, is voiced in Japanese by Shigeo Matsuzawa, who also voiced the character in the film alongside Thomas in Disney's Pocahontas and Maestro Cadenza in the 2017 Beauty and the Beast remake that I never saw because I just don't care about the live-action ones. If memory serves, I do get pretty lucky in this next room, though, because you can get some normal Heartless here, but I get the remaining fungus type we haven't talked about yet, rare truffles. These are, I think, my hardest ones to deal with. The way these guys work is that when you hit them, they bounce in the air. You then need to juggle them in the air multiple times to not only get successive tech points like with fighting the Picagaracuses, but also to get their drops. But also, the more you juggle them, the better their drops get. If you juggle them 10 times in a row, they'll drop an elixir, and 20% of the time also drop a mystery goo. Juggle them 50 times, they'll drop an elixir, have a 40% chance to drop a mystery goo, as well as a shiitake rank, which is an item that you can sell for 200 money here in Final Mix, 100 money back in Vanilla. If you manage to juggle them 100 times though, they'll instead drop a mega elixir, guarantee a mystery goo drop, as well as a matsutake rank, which sells for 300 money here in Final Mix, 500 back in Vanilla. That, on top of the combined over 5,000 or so tech points you get for a full upgrade, you do get a lot for managing to master that. But that's just the ticket there. Mastering it is required. Due to that, these are the least reliable way to get mystery goos in my eyes, as they require quite a bit more execution than white mushrooms. You can kind of keep them comboed in the air by whacking them into a corner and casting upgraded arrow spells on yourself, as those do damage, and thus can combo them, but it's still not quite worth the time compared to just doing other farming methods. Also, worth knowing that little river area down there has an exit in it that leads back to Halloween Town Center. It's the fastest way back there, if not the only way back there, depending on your release.
I knew Oogie Boogie was behind this.
Welcome to Oogie's Manor. This is quite the vertical area filled with unfenced areas, so if you take a fall going after a Heartless, you have a high chance of falling all the way down to the ground. The rough thing is, though, if you fall, there's no way back up to this bridge within this room itself. There's a door down there that actually takes you back to the river in the previous room, unless you have to start the climb over again. With that said, if you're playing the original Western PS2 release of the game, jump down there intentionally. There's a red Trinity down there on a gate, and it's the only Trinity that's missable in any release of this game. If you progress to the end of this world's plot, it will despawn for some reason, and you will not be able to get it, and thus not be able to 100% Jiminy's Journal if you care about that. If you're playing any release of the game since then, though, be it the Japanese PS2 Final Mix, or any version of it that's been released afterwards on the various HD Remix ports, you're completely fine, you don't need to worry about that. If anything, there's actually a way you can kind of game that to your advantage when going for certain synthesis materials towards endgame, but I'll talk more about that when we get to that point. Thankfully, as you climb this tower, there are places where if you fall off, you're more than likely going to just fall back down to a section you already were at, or even maybe find a new section that maybe has a treasure chest for you. But there are several portions, be it on the outer rim or even at some points in the center, where falling down will just throw you all the way down to the bottom of the floor. And again, it's not the worst backtrack, because it's basically just 1 or 2 rooms, but the climb back up can be tedious enough where it definitely sucks and will stick with you if it happens enough times. Though not for nothing, it's not the worst world for that in the game. The penultimate world is probably the worst with that, depending on how much you're either A, looking for treasure chests, or B, being real loosey-goosey with where you're jumping. Just to talk about something a little bit different on the way up, like, music's obviously a very, wide genre as it is, and there's a lot you can do with very little. But it's funny to me how much more annoying a loop Under the Sea is than This Is Halloween, when they're A, about the same length, and B, about as repetitive. I think it is largely a factor of annoyance with the world in question that really amps it up. Like, Atlantica is a really rough world to navigate, especially on a first playthrough. Meanwhile, Halloween Town's very straightforward. But also the energy is really different, because Under the Sea is very upbeat and just whereas this is very it's like in the background more, and that really also probably impacts it a lot. That staircase there, I believe, represents the end of the area. Yep, there it is. So don't be like me in my first playthrough and fall down here at the last second. I was mad, and I could only really be mad at myself, sadly. Although I guess it was technically the fault of the gargoyle for being, I think, over the gap at that point, but still. Oh boy. Time for a bit of an odd mini-boss against Lock, Shock, and Barrel. Each of them largely has one key attack and react to your presence a little differently, like how Lock actively jumps away from you to avoid you. Barrel attacks with a charge directly at you and has the most HP, hence why I go after him first usually. Lock tries to stay away from you and will throw a fastball at you from a distance, and Shock will spin around like a Beyblade around the arena. If anything, it's most of this game's main heartless physical attacks all split apart in one fight. This fight's not too much to worry about, especially after you've taken down at least one of them, as there's just that much less in your way at that point. I have died to this fight before, not for nothing, but if memory serves, they were all on Proud Mode playthroughs where I came here earlier than I did in this LP, so take from that what you will. Once you take care of all 3 of them, you're good.
were just following orders. Oogie Boogie told us to steal the heart. It's all Barrel's fault. It was his idea to tell Oogie Boogie about the heart. Yeah, that's right.
But you guys said...
You should be ashamed.
Rude. With that out of the way, our main reason for coming up to this room isn't just following lock, shock, and barrel here. It's to come over here and hit this lever. This will actively adjust the positioning of certain things outside the keep. Notably, there's these little bird cages around the area. Some of them have chests, but some of them also will help us lead the way towards our next destination, which is actually the center of the keep. So, I don't have any distinct memories of this happening, but if there is a point in this world where I would have gotten stuck as a kid for a little bit, it's probably right here. If only because navigating to our next main door is a little awkward, both in its actual positioning, but also not for nothing, how much I actively do get turned around on this tower, especially on the way back down it. This is a very interesting set piece area, but the wooden planks tend to blend in after a little bit, and I actively get turned around on where is where, as you can even see me kind of doing right here. The potential memory of falling down and having to retrek through some of these areas probably is also hampering that because, hey, get this, it's been about, 20 years since I first played this game. Oh, God. Actually, wait, now that I think about it, I might even be pretty on the nose to that almost to the month now that I think about it, because if memory serves, I got my PS2 December, so Christmas of 2005 with Sly 3, and I didn't get a memory card until I think the next week, so I was constantly replaying the first 2 worlds of that or so. And if memory serves, I'm gonna even look it up to confirm this right now. I think Kingdom Hearts 2 was first quarter 06? Yeah, North America, March 28th. I probably got that as a birthday gift the next month, so I probably played this, if not, like late April 06, probably early May, mid-May, so damn. 20 years almost to the month, that's... Huh. The drums of time keep marching on. But man... am I bad at marching band? So this chest has another orichalcum for us, but this is also the landmark I use to figure out where my next door is. It's right here. This door, I believe, does not open until you've actively hit the lever in the lock, shock, and barrel room, and this leads us pretty directly to our next boss fight. It's in a door just below us. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 25, we're gonna finish off our time here in Halloween Town, before moving on probably to some side quest stuff if I had to guess. See you guys then.